Mark, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Kimberly.
Hi, Charlie.
So great to see you back in the studio and you guys together.
Yes.
I think it's good because Mark was talking to himself for so long.
I know.
They needed someone to bounce that off of.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's great to hear you again.
Now, Charlie, this very interesting story about your life. I didn't know this about you, but you were adopted and you didn't know your birth mother for 38 years. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I was 8 years old when I was told that I was adopted, and did not know anything until my brother recognized me on TV and said how much I looked like a younger brother of his.
Now, was this the brother that you didn't know that said that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Right.
this guy came up to you and said, "You look like my brother?"
Yeah, he said, you look exactly like my brother. You sound like him. Your mannerisms, everything is exactly the same as my younger brother, Robert, who turns out to be a year older than me.
Okay.
Wow.
And turns out that his last name is the same last name that I saw on my birth certificate that my parents showed me when I was 8 years old to show me I was adopted, which was Cosentino. So everything rolled from there.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Amazing. And how did you feel at the time at 8 years old when you found out you were adopted? Did you feel good or sad or like you wanted to find out?
Oh, I definitely wanted to find out more. I was curious about a lot of different things. I had questions, and my parents couldn't answer because as they were getting me, they were so excited they were getting me. The adoption agency was telling them a little bit of a backstory and history. They didn't hear any of it because they were just so excited that they were getting a baby. But after that, I guess, in my mind, I would always think about it and wonder,
Yeah.
like most adoptive people do. We all think, what are our parents like? Who are they like? Who do I look like? Where are they now? Why did
they
this
want to know
happen?
why you were given up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You must have had those questions in your mind.
Yeah, no question. So I read a lot of articles about people being adopted or, why they were given up for adoption and found, different scenarios and tried to apply my life. Well, maybe it was this. Well, maybe it was that. And now I know, which is such a blessing for an adopted person to know exactly what the circumstances are is amazing.
Well, how did that all come about? Your birth mother gave you up because of... Well,
she had 3 boys already. She was married, and she had an affair. She had Robert, and then had not had sex with her husband after she had given birth, and then all of a sudden was pregnant again, like 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, because we were both born in the same month, almost a year apart.
Wow.
So, so all of a sudden she was pregnant again, and that's how they all knew that there was something going on.
Yeah.
So her husband said, look, you're not having this baby. You're not bringing this baby home.
Yeah.
You give that baby up, or you can stay with the baby, and I'm taking the 3 boys, and you're out on the street. And this is 1954.
Yeah.
A lot different for women back in 1954 than now. They didn't have the options they have now. So she held on to me for 3 days in the hospital, fighting to try and bring me home, until finally they took me, and she had to give me up.
Amazing story. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk in a few minutes. The book is called How I Met My Mother and the 4 Brothers I Never Knew I Had with Charlie Cornacchio. And we'll find out what it was like when you finally did meet your birth mother for the first time.
Yes.
So that's coming up in just a few. All right, Mix 97.7, back with Charlie Cornacchio. The book is called How I Met My Mother and the 4 Brothers I Never Knew. And Kimberly, I'll let you have the next question of the witness.
Well, I'm just fascinated by this whole thing. So I want to get to that first meeting with your mother. I guess this brother told you he started the ball rolling, and then he arranged the meeting with his own mother.
Right. She had been holding it a secret from the boys that she had the affair. And then she finally broke down and told him that, because he had asked, whatever happened to that baby? And through a series, and in the book, it explains exactly what happened, what their conversation was. But the bottom line was, he drove me down. We went down to New Rochelle, where she lived, and went up the elevator, and chills and my heart pumping. I mean, this is
amazing,
huge for me, because I'm finally going to find 38 years of thinking and wondering, what does she look like? What does she feel like? What does she sound like? And now that doorknob turns and that door opens, and there she is, and we just held each other and cried, and all she kept saying was, she was muffled because she's only like 5 feet tall, so she was muffled saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. She thought I would be angry. But my life was great.
Yeah.
The family that took me in.
I mean, can you imagine the guilt that she probably felt for all those years?
Well, here's the interesting thing is that she thought I was dead, because when she gave me up, 2 years later, she said, I'm going to try and find him. Her husband at the time said, I already looked for him, and he died of spinal meningitis. Back in 1954, the wife listened to the husband and believed him, and so she believed him. She thought I was dead.
Wow.
So, so to actually be sitting with her and getting the full story of why she gave me up for adoption, what was happening at that time, finding out about my birth father and some of his tendencies and whatever else was just so just amazing, just shed a light on everything. I didn't have a history before that point, right? Go into the hospital, you have a history of this, you have a history of that. I don't know. I didn't know, right?
That's crazy.
Now I had such a history.
And did you meet your birth father?
No, my birth father unfortunately died 3 months before this reunion happened.
Wow.
So I did talk to his wife. She was open to it because she knew about the affair. She knew about the birth. But it was difficult because she had just lost her husband.
Yeah.
So it was hard to ask her certain questions I wanted answers for.
So now, are you in touch with your brothers that you met? Are you still in touch with everybody?
Yeah, Mary died last year.
Your birth mother.
My birth mother.
Yeah.
She was 86. But my brothers, Michael lives in this area. I call him the mayor of Fishkill because he knows everybody. And so we see each other a lot. We bump into each other at Dunkin' Donuts, and we've invited each other to weddings and graduations and all that stuff. The other brothers are out in Long Island and Port Chester. I don't see them as much, but I am in contact with them. In big affairs, we see each other. So, yeah.
Were your adoptive parents okay with meeting Mary? Were they all right with all of this?
I held it off from my mother for the longest time because my mother's Italian, and I thought for sure she was going to be like, what did I do wrong that you had to go look?
Exactly.
But I didn't look. That was the thing. People spend thousands of dollars trying to investigate and find their parents. This fell in my lap.
Yeah, well, you were on TV, so people saw you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. There's a lot more to it.
Yes.
The book is called How I Met My Mother and the Four Brothers I Never Knew I Had. So the reason you wrote the book was what?
Well, a friend of ours in our family, they adopted a Russian baby 13 years ago, and now this girl, Eliza, is going through some problems of her own, wondering why she was given up for adoption. She wants to go back to Russia. She wants to see her family. She thinks she's better off there than here, and they were having some problems with her. So they were over the house, and I told her husband the story, Chrissy and Dave. I told Dave the story. Eliza, the adopted girl, was sitting there listening to it, and I guess she was moved by the story, and the message that I was saying all along was, we always think there's something better. But you know what? Wherever we are, whether you're adopted or not, I firmly believe, we're where we're supposed to be.
Yep.
And you're not going to have it any better than you have it right now.
Right.
And she got that message and all of a sudden felt a sense of settlement. And her mother had told me 2 weeks later, she said that story did wonders for her. We were taking her for therapy. We don't have to do that anymore. She is now just settled and feels, she came downstairs and said, Mom, I don't need to look for my parents. I'm okay where I'm at.
Wow.
And it was based on the story. So I thought, who else can I help with this if I write it down?
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to help. All right, so where can people get the book?
Well, you can buy it anywhere online that you can get a book online. Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, Books A Million. And you can also get it from my website. I have a personal website. So you can get the ebook or hard copy book. And if you need to get in contact with me, you can get me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook.
All right. Well, what's your website?
Well, the website is charlescornacchio.com.
All right, and they can figure out how to spell that.
Yeah, it's two C's with an H. People leave out that H towards the end.
Charlie Cornacchio, once again, the book is called How I Met My Mother and the Four Brothers I Never Knew. Incredible story, Charlie. And we wish you luck, and I hope you're out on a big publicity tour because it's a great message.
Well, I have a big book launching on the 18th of May at Locust Grove from 2 to 5.
Oh, great.
Where I'll be signing books and talking a little bit more about the book itself. And so it's really just another excuse to have a party.
All right, well, we'll have you back. We'll have you back before that.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thanks. Charlie Cornacchio.